Pottery is often thought of as a craft about creating, shaping clay, building forms, turning imagination into something tangible. But beneath the surface, pottery teaches a quiet lesson, one that has very little to do with making and everything to do with letting go. At first, this may seem strange. After all, pottery requires planning, effort, and attention to detail. A potter spends hours preparing clay, centering it on the wheel, refining shapes, trimming surfaces, and applying glaze. Every stage involves care and intention. Yet, despite all that effort, there is never a guarantee of the final outcome. And that is where the lesson begins. When people first start working with clay, they often become attached to results. They imagine exactly how a piece should look. They want every curve perfect, every measurement precise, every glaze exactly as planned. The vision in their mind feels clear and complete, but clay has its own ideas. A wall becomes uneven, a handle dries differently than expected, a bowl warps slightly during firing, a glaze reacts in ways no one ever predicted. Suddenly, the piece no longer matches the original plan. For many beginners, this can feel frustrating, but over time, pottery teaches something important. Not everything can be controlled. The clay responds to countless variations: moisture, temperature, timing, gravity, chemistry, and even the atmosphere inside the kiln. No matter how skilled a potter becomes, there will always be elements beyond their control. And so, little by little, pottery encourages a different mindset. Instead of forcing perfection, the potter learns to work with uncertainty. Instead of demanding control, they learn to cooperate with the process. They begin to understand that creation is not only about shaping clay, it is about accepting what the clay becomes. This lesson becomes even more powerful during firing. Before a piece enters the kiln, a potter can still touch it, adjust it, and make changes. But once the kiln door closes, the work is no longer in their hands, sometimes an entire day. During that time, chemical reactions unfold in darkness. Clay transforms, glaze melts, colors emerge, the final result is being created, but the potter can do nothing except trust the process. There is something deeply symbolic about this moment. How often in life do we do everything we can only to reach a point where we must release control? We prepare carefully, make thoughtful decisions, and give our best efforts. Yet eventually, there comes a moment when the outcome is no longer ours to manage. Pottery mirrors this reality perfectly. The kiln becomes a reminder that efforts and control are not the same thing. We are responsible for our actions, our preparations, and our commitments, but we are not always responsible for the outcome. Learning this can be surprisingly liberating. When potters stop expecting perfection, they often become more creative. They take risks, they experiment, they become less afraid of failure because they understand that mistakes are part of the journey rather than evidence of inadequacy. A cracked piece becomes a lesson, a glazed floor becomes an opportunity, a failed firing becomes information for the next attempt. The process becomes less about protecting success and more about embracing growth. Pottery also teaches us to let go of attachment to individual pieces. Every potter has experienced this. You spend hours, perhaps days or weeks, creating something you love. You carefully shape it, trim it, glaze it, and place it in the kiln with excitement. Then the kiln opens and the piece has cracked. It is disappointing, sometimes heartbreaking. Yet, if you continue working with clay, you eventually learn that your value as a maker is not tied to a single pot. One broken bowl does not erase your skill. One failed firing does not define your journey. There will always be another piece to make, another lump of clay, and another opportunity to begin again. This perspective extends far beyond the studio. Many things that cause stress in life come from our desire to control what cannot be controlled. We cling to expectations, resist uncertainty, and become frustrated when reality unfolds differently than we imagine. Pottery gently challenges these habits. It teaches patience in the face of uncertainty. It teaches resilience when plans change. It teaches acceptance when outcomes differ from expectations. Most importantly, it teaches trust. Trust in the process, trust in growth.